Hello and welcome to the Balanced Growth Show. I am your host, as always, Dr. Travis Perry. Today I'm with Nathan Newberry. Nathan's a business scaling strategist and the creator of the AI Freedom Method. After 9 years building and successfully selling his own agency, Nathan discovered the secret to growth isn't endless hustle, it's systems. As a husband and father of three, he's mastered the delicate balance between scaling businesses and maintaining a fulfilling personal life. Nathan, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks for having me. Super pumped to help your
I love
audience
it.
here
Love
any
it. I
way I
mean,
can.
you're a podcast host. You're a professional. You know what's going on, and I appreciate that about you and what you're doing. It's been fun to get to know you in the pre-show. But tell us, how did you get here? How did you get to this spot in your career? Maybe catch us up on your story.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a Christian home. Like my dad was a mega pastor down in Southern California, and I thought that journey was me helping people doing that, right? And I did that for years, and then I really discovered, hey, I like systems, I like automations. I want to be a bigger reach, and I started a marketing agency, and that was pretty amazing to help a lot of people. My niche when I did that was working with churches and nonprofits, and so my sector for nonprofits and helping people meet, love, and follow Jesus is a big component of what I'm about. And I wanted to help more people. And I realized the building a personal brand is a big component that people are missing. Even today, like everybody wants to be known, but people aren't, and then that, got me into understanding a lot more about sales. And I started doing that during the season after I, sold my agency. I just wanted to like make it a little simple and not run a business. So I started doing sales while I had young kids, and that went well. And I did really good at that because I cared for people, would have thought. And then, from there, I started managing people. People asked me, hey, how did you do what you're doing? I'd got awards and trips and all this stuff. I was just like, I started managing sales teams who were doing millions a month. And then now I've been able to really craft a really amazing way to help people leverage their life and their balance and all the things they're doing. And many of that thing is really kind of building that personal brand and really knowing how to run ads and leverage AI and do really well with building a media team and a sales team
Love it.
that I teach now.
Fantastic. And I love the background of, putting God first in your life. And it sounds like he's directed you to this path to help people because, there are a lot of great people out there running businesses, believers who they want to help other people. It's difficult to craft their message, make it clear, and then bring that to the world without spending all of their day just doing that, right? So
Hmm.
I love that you're helping people do that. It's fantastic, and I also love your intro of like it's all about systems. So let's talk about this. You work with hundreds, thousands of business owners. You've been in the trenches yourself. Why is endless hustle the problem? Like, talk about what are some of these issues that business owners face if they're just in this endless hustle.
Well, hustle in itself isn't bad. There's different seasons, times that we need to go out and kill the monster, and that's anybody that needs to start a business. I'm a big advocate that they need to have some sort of side hustle. They need to start building their personal brand. They need to build something, but there's sometimes sacrifices, there's sacrifices that aren't worth giving up. Right. And, oftentimes at the end of your life, if you kind of I mean, a good exercise that I think many people have thought of, I don't know how many people have actually done, is actually taking the time to actually think about the end of your life and trying to remap it of the leading lagging indicators, what that, deathbed conversation will look at. Who's around you? What have you accomplished? What have you done? What have you not done? Some of the times people just allow life to pass over them. And I did that for years, thinking that was just the plan. That was until I realized, hey, I got to really take the bull by the horns to really make and design and be intentional as possible with your wife and your kids and with your business. And so I'm hustle and component of building something takes seasons to grind and make it happen. But if you think in systems, that's going to help you then create the life that you want. Because most of the time people don't think about the plan of exiting. They're just like, I'm busy. But busy is that just means that you're not diligent enough to redesign the way things should be. So a mentor of mine said, millionaires think in systems, billionaires think in hiring
Yep.
people that create the systems. So I kind of think in those things in a way of like what can create leverage so I can create more bandwidth in my life. Because if I can create and leverage AI, if I can create and design an amazing business that helps serve amazing people, but also gives me that creative ability to really be able to create and enjoy and build. You can't do those things if you're always tapped out and running hustle at 80 to 100-hour work week. And that's not sustainable long term or even healthy for your family and everything. And let me give this example, and then I'll let you take it here from you. You got world denters that go on extreme, right? You got like Steve Jobs, right, that went to the extreme with denting the world with an amazing thing with Apple. Yet he had no one around him that really respected him or loved him as much. His family has hated him. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he was married at the end of this. I think there was just travesty in the wake of it. And the only books that I remember reading about Steve Jobs was we respected him. We respected him for what he was able to accomplish, but not necessarily,
Right.
who he was.
It's
Which is
sad. No, it
I
is.
don't know. It's
I
sad
agree
part.
with you.
Yeah.
And that's I've heard that a lot about him, and we turn to him as an innovator, right? And we can see how he brought the company back, and we can hail him as a business leader. But yeah, I have this very similar exercise. I call it the mini obituary exercise in my book, Achieving Balance. When it's like, hey, let's look at the end of life. Who are you? What did you become? What
Mm-hmm.
really matters? And I think that's why, believers like us, like
Yeah.
God is so important in our life. Like it really is a reflection on what will God want us to become when we're there, when we get to that point. So I appreciate you bringing that up. What do you think are some other issues that business owners face? So that's keeping them from really maintaining great balance.
Yeah, I think there's four key skills that every business needs to continue to grow in. They need to know how to market themselves, they need to know how to sell their service, they need a really good product or service, and then they need to know how to create systems and build leadership. But those are constant scores skills that someone needs to continue to grow in. And if you're going at the beginning of it, you don't know any of those. If I have a job, all I need to know is one of those, right? It's like if I'm just doing sales, that's all I need to do. I don't need to know how the leads come. I don't need to know how to do the fulfillment. I don't need to know any of the systems. I just need to know how to do sales, right? And it's an easier lane. That's why there's so many people in a
Yeah.
job, which is noble and amazing, not docking that. But if we're building a business, it takes a lot of those skills to continue to do. The heart behind everything that you need to have is leads and revenue, right? People come to me and ultimately the heart of it is like, you need more money. That's amazing. How are we going to get more money? Well, we need more leads. Well, how do you get more
Yeah.
leads? It's not
Yeah.
hoping and praying. You got to really be able to figure out what are the leading lagging indicators that can help you do it. So I think leads is the big one that people need, and they need a lot of those and the good quality ones, and they need to know how to craft that with marketing messaging. And then there's the imbalance, right? I could be great at sales but get all I could be great at sales but no leads, or I can
Right.
have all the leads and horrible at sales. Like you have to know how to do those really well. So I think that's a big challenge if you're talking about one thing. That's like they need leads and you know how to close those deals, and then you could figure out how to do the fulfillment and build systems after you get the clients. Because I think what I've seen a lot of pitfalls after coaching so many marketing agency over the years is they want to build their website, they want to build their systems, and it takes
Mhm.
forever for them to do quote unquote setting it up, setting their LLC up, setting up their bank, and all the things that don't really matter until you can get the transaction across the board. Like
Yeah.
just get that,
I mean, really great. That's it. I mean, it just brings me back to like starting up, and you think it's the first time, like launching your first business, like all those things are so important. The logo, the look, and don't get me wrong, those are important, but you could have all that. And if you don't
yeah,
have
but
great marketing leads and sales generated, you don't have a business. It's going to fail before it started. So I love that you mentioned that.
yeah.
Talk to me. I mean, you're a man of frameworks, you're a man of systems. Talk to me about your systems of helping not only yourself, right, but other business owners to not have to be in this endless hustle, but to make and grow and scale the business and also have great balance. Because I mean, this is the Balanced Growth Show. This is what we're all about. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What are some steps? What are
Mhm.
what are some things that in your framework that you can reference?
When I was a pastor, I had so many responsibilities. I ran all the audio video. I ran the college ministry. I did all the worship music. I did all the post production. There was so many things I was responsible for, but I had four people I reported to with all four different expectations. And it wore on me. And that's where I was hustling so much, even at the very beginning of like 60, 80-hour work weeks of just in ministry, thinking that that was the freedom. It was fun at the same time, but I had to sit down and craft clear expectations of what I did and then get like, this is what I'm doing, you know? And that allowed me to kind of like scale back to really kind of reframe things. And then it helped me understand what I needed to build the teams around. And the teams that I had, this is a little bit different for people that are in nonprofits, is you oftentimes has volunteers, which is very different than an employee. As an employee, they understand the weight of the gravity of it. A volunteer, you can get them here and there. So you have to create a clear checklist, like a dummy checklist, like, you know, like if you're talking about physical gear, you label it 1, 2, 3, and you make a checklist to make it as simple as possible. So all that to say is I learned that, and then I had to
Mhm.
delegate leaders to do it. And so the time I got out of ministry, all I did was preach the gospel. That was it. But setting up the tables, the chairs, everything like that. And so I took that understanding of what it took to lead and build systems and leadership to my marketing agency. Because then I realized, okay, who can I have? What systems do I create for someone to expedite the exact same things over and over and over again? And that allowed me to have more freedom to then create. And so this is where it's like I think they're in tandem of like creating some systems and people, but in between that is automation, which is a really good part with leveraging AI as much as you possibly can to really bridge the gap between the checklists and the team for them to follow the exact protocol, and then the automations and AI leverage can come into play to really help as much as possible with all of that. And it's like I'm constantly creating AI chat bots as much as I can to help me do the heavy lifting, right? Roadmaps, custom standard operating procedures, playbooks, like everything I could possibly do to create those for my clients and for my team to help me leverage so that all I have to do is show up in my power in what I'm great at. Because if I get bogged down doing bookkeeping, getting bogged down with doing admin stuff, even loading videos is low priority of things that don't help me move the needle forward in my business. And so I had learned a lot of the hard way. And then I had to think in systems to help me get out of the trenches when I was in midst of the fulfillment of
So
everything.
good. So good. Yeah, I talk about this exact concept of being where, zone of genius. I call it my work sweet spot. Like, what are your top five,
Yeah.
not just top paying activities, but the areas that you shine? Like, if that's the best thing that you do, and I talk about that in my first book, Achieving Balance, like spend 80, 90% of your time there. If you can get to 100, well done. But most business owners, I'm finding, they're only like 25, 30% of the time in those top five. They're spending so much time wasted doing these other things. What are
Mm-hmm.
some helps? What are some things that you suggest in your frameworks that might be helpful to keep people there so they're not bouncing out? Because as business owners, a lot of times we're ADD, we're big thinkers. We want to move
Mm-hmm.
on to the next thing. We're already done with the thing we just came up with.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little about maybe your personal experience or what you do to help business owners there.
They could go into so many different layers of everything. I mean, I think the thing that people are missing is they have a blind spot that they're not aware of. And this comes down to two things. They need a mentor to like shine a light on their life. And if you don't have one, or at least one that's open up with you to kind of like shine a light on your calendar and look at what's going on. The other part of that is doing a clear audit on your time. Because more often than not, we're not doing, a good job with understanding what our calendar is and what we're doing. Because at the end of the day, your spouse could say, "Hey, how was your day? It was busy. What did you do? I don't know." Something, and it's not like you're moving the needle forward with stuff. So I think those are big components of it. But really, it's like if you're looking at the driving factor of your business, it's like what impact are you having? There's growth metrics there of like, hey, what's the revenue looking like? Those are key things to kind of keep an eye on. I think there's a bunch of things that you can look at, but yeah, those are the two biggest challenges. People don't, they have blind spots, and being even aware of that you have blind spots. Like I go into, like I've invested so much in personal development over the years. It's crazy. I think people are shocked at the amount of investment, but I realize it's like, I don't often know what my blind spots are. I know I have them. And so I will find someone to help
Yep.
me with those. It's just, and I always ask those questions. Hey, if you were in my shoes, what would you look different? Like I'll give you an example. I just hired today another fitness person to help me with it. I'm an athlete. I can figure out how to like be, getting stronger and eat right. I can even ask ChatGPT to help me with some of that stuff. I want expertise. And so I literally, the new guy, I sent a picture of myself, I said, if you were me with this and the way that you're looking now, what would you do different? Right. It allows them to kind of think and observe of like, all right, if I woke up with that physique, or I woke up and I had this challenge in my business, or I woke up and I had these challenges in my marriage, like this is how I'd fix it because I had to and I was able to. But if you're in the trenches and you're having blind spots, you got to get mentorship and you got to audit your time as much as you can.
That's nuggets right there. Time audits. Most people I meet with have never tracked their time. And that's like the first step. So they don't even know where they're spending their time. They may have a calendar, but they have a lot of blind spots in that calendar, right? Because they're just used to doing how they've always done it. So what a great comment.
Yeah.
So with your frameworks, I mean, a lot of systems, it's time, it's planning, it's having mentors, which we could spend a whole hour just on mentorship. Like you and I both, we've spent a lot in personal development. I know every time that I hire a coach, I have two coaches right now. Every time I do that, that I am going to level up because I'm going to learn from their experiences where they've had faults and where they've improved. So I love that. Um, if you were to say, hey,
Yeah.
yeah, add the steps in my framework, what would you say is the most important piece and why?
The power of a personal brand, I think people overlook. They're like, oh, I post things on social media. I write a book. I do speak, whatever, right? But there's power in doing it consistently. And it's the consistent things. People know this, the power of discipline is staying consistent, but it's just the stay power. It's the, focusing on those things and being consistent. And I mean, I've had to create boundaries and teams around me to help uplift that consistency, but there's power in it. And so it's like for people that are building the personal brand, it's just being out there, being intentional about what you're posting. It's not just, the personal things. It's oftentimes the real powerhouse nuggets, the things that are the pain points of clients. But if they continue to build that arm over time, it's going to allow leverage in your life that most people don't even have a chance to create and do. And I've seen so many people even create aspects of it. It's just like my book that I'm going to be writing here that I'm going to have is called Going Pro. And it's really getting the mental mindset and clarity of like, I just need to be omnipresent and I need to be as much and as powerhouse as I possibly can to help impact. And if you have the heart first of like helping people and having that focus, everything starts kind of coming in play and falling into line when in alignment so much more with that focus of helping people and just
Nice.
being consistent.
Consistency. I mean, let's talk a little bit about that because I think so many people think they have to be consistent consistently. But you made a mention of that. I think is really great point of I've hired teams to help me stay consistent.
Yes.
Like it's one thing to have a coach, but it's another actually to hire people that report to you, but are really in essence helping you stay consistent with that personal brand. Can you dive deeper on that point?
Yeah. So, I have a podcast, right? Do I upload it? Do I edit it? Do I do the thumbnail? Do I do, no, I show up, do the interview. My team and my systems automation handle the rest, right? Sales calls. I have a team that books the calls and I either jump on it or my team will jump on that call and go through it. The follow-up calls, the follow-up emails, automations, or my team will do it. Like my calendar is stacked with the top key things that I need to do, and my team will handle it. I don't look at my email. I don't look at my calendar. I just look at my day. My assistant will message me, this is the outline of today. And I look at my calendar and I just follow the game plan. If she said to go drive to this address because my calendar said so, I'll do it, you know? And I want to think in systems and like, think of the cognitive will. Like if you have a bunch of tabs and software open in your computer and it's all bogged down, you're not going to be able to be focused on what you need to. And so being present, being focused, being there, being present with where you're at and that time makes the most amount of, the time that we have. And so like I have everything scheduled in my calendar. I have my fitness, I have my time that I walk with my wife, my kids, dinner time, sports and t-ball, and my business and important calls that I have, and I have a block out time for when I create content. And I try to just think in like backwards of like all those sort of things. But the team, I want to support whatever I need to have done. So I create the systems, I leverage AI, and then I just hire the right people to expedite those things. And here's the interesting part. I think people are like, well, I don't have the budget to hire. Well, realistically, like to build an online brand doesn't have to be like a PhD with someone to edit a video. Like you could find some really great talent all over the world that can really be really budgetable to help you expedite a lot of this stuff. Like if we had time to go over like my tech stack
Mm-hmm.
cost and my team, it's pretty darn minimal. Like it doesn't have to be a lot. And I think that the systems creation and also like the team to hire is the unknowns, and that's why you hire mentors to help tactically put all that together. And that's what I teach is like, how do you build a media team? How do you build a sales team? Like, where do you start? I mean, that's where I think so many people don't know. Like, to give you an instance, to build a coaching offer, you literally can do it less than 20 hours a week, and you can really streamline it, probably less than 10. Like, I mean, if you do it right, you could really just be showing up to the most important things less than 10 hours a week. Like that blows people's mind of like the amount of money that you can make, the impact you can have, and margins that are there for
Absolutely.
days.
Well said. It's so fun to hear myself talk in a different human body. It's so great to hear systems, processes, boundaries, teams. Like, I love having this conversation with you, Nathan. It's so great to hear your feedback and ideas and help. And I know, it's with different nuances and different words, but the ideas here are solid, packed. If you were to say, all right, here's how you get started with the personal brand. Here's like the very first thing. Um, and, because we've been talking
Mm-hmm.
some of these things really far out, really big picture. But if we were to get super finite and say,
Yeah.
okay, here's the first thing that I would do with somebody who's getting started, and maybe even second or third thing, what would be those first 2, 3 things that you would suggest they can start with right now and palatable, easy enough to just, okay, I can accomplish this to see if this works?
Yeah. Someone needs to have their offer dialed in before you do anything else. If they don't know who they're helping or how they're helping them, they're going to be lost in the dark. We're just throwing things at the wall. They're going to say, I'm building a personal brand around nonsense. That's not going to help anything. You don't even want to run ads until you know this. So I'll give you an example of what I mean by this. If someone said, hey, nice to meet you. What do you do? And you're like, oh, I'm an author. Or, I write books, or I do speaking, or I build websites, or I do whatever. If you just have a blanket statement, they're going to just give you the thumbs up and say, good for you. That's it. Right. Compared to, uh, I help dentists get 5 to 6 more clients every week with my acquisition system that has this method. Do you know any dentists, or are you a dentist yourself? Like, the conversation shifts exactly. And you get down to the graduate level. I didn't call him customer. I didn't call him, client. I called him a patient, because that's what they call their patients. Right. So you can get down to the granular level of like that I help statement, the way that's really kind of fundamentally building the idea around who you're helping and how you're helping them. And once you get that crystal clarity on that, you'll actually know what the deliverables are. Right. If I said I'm a fitness person and I said, I'll help you get 6-pack abs in 3 years, I think people are going to be like, no, man, I don't want to take 3
Everybody else
years
is
to
going,
figure
yeah,
that out. Right.
that's about what
So,
it takes, right?
so I mean, it's just like, I think like, it depends on the offer, but it's like the outcome is what people buy, is the transformation. So whatever that fulfillment, doesn't mean it looks like the same for everybody, but like, what can you help deliver on and create and give them with that? It's like, if I'm going to raise my kids or a marriage, it's not going to be a quick 30-day thing. It's going to be taking time and focus and intentionality with building whatever that offer might be. And so I think it's knowing that offer and then verifying it with the content, landing some clients with some outbounds, and then once you verified your offer, get some clients, then you can turn some lights on with ads, and then it's just going to scale from there. But you want to make sure that you're verifying with your irresistible offer, and that's what I really help people with. Like, I have some really great people that are amazing millionaires and, in their own right, in their own profession, but they realize the power of the brand that they have not leveraged yet, and they know they need to build it, and they want to build an offer with extending that legacy and doing that. And so I help them really craft that irresistible offer, and then the framework of building the media team so that they only have to show up, just like I teach with the AI freedom method of building that powerhouse and
Sweet.
living in that strength.
So super clear messaging, very, very niched, right? That message has to be super clear for people, because right when you said that, you're like, okay, dentist, I need 5 or 6 more patients. Blah, blah. I already have 2 or 3 people. I'm like, oh yeah, because that's what the brain does. The more specific you get, the better.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're even asking people, who do you know? Like, oh, I know a couple people right off. I was ready to give you a referral. Like, yeah, this guy needs it, right? Um,
Right.
I love that. So what's the second step? If you really nail that, what's the second thing you would suggest people do?
At the very beginning, they don't need to build a course. They don't really need to build even a funnel. Like, it's really simple. Like, you have your offer, you start creating content, you do it everywhere. Um, and then you could start, after you get 5 to 10 clients, then you build a course to streamline like, helping people get that transformation quicker. But now you've actually verified the offer and you actually know what clients need. Like, so many people build things, and we've talked about this with even books. Like, people write books, but it falls
Right.
flat because it's not clear. It's not helpful. So it's just like, simply just like, let's verify it, get some
Mm-hmm.
clients, and then you'll know what to build. And then you could build some more robust like systems. You could build more teams and everything like that. You could build, and then you just scale with ads, and you could build some really amazing impact from that. And so I think, if you're looking at the hires too, like in EA, if I had done it over in my career, I would have found an executive assistant uh, first thing. Like, I learned a lot of this from Dan
Yeah.
Martell from Buy Back Your Time book. I mean, I think it's really good, where he has a hiring ladder where it's like, if you're stuck, get an assistant, and then you go from there. It's like onboarding and ops, and then from there it's marketing and then sales, and then you're a leader that can just be that person that's overseeing that empire. I think that's a good framework of what that looks like. But in the ops is where you're going to be needing the second person, which is like a video editor and someone that's going to publish things, so that you could buy back your time with that pretty quickly. If you have a budget, people can hire
Sure.
those two things right out the gate, and then they're working on systems. And then from there, where I help in with a lot of people to scale, is getting in that sales and marketing bucket to really help them rocket launch with ads. And then I think there's some strategic elements around that, because I've seen people burn a lot of money in ads. And it's mostly because they don't have their marketing dialed in. They don't have their funnels dialed in. They're broken. They're not really clear and so they just fall flat. So those are
Well
key
said.
things.
Yeah, well said. I think I think in this idea, and I talk about it in my book. I won't go into details. Marry and Grow Rich, just kind of like the defense is fulfillment operations, offense is marketing and sales. So I like the Dan and I at least are on the same page. Like, start with the defense first, build that, make sure that you got that covered, and then grow and scale with ads and automation to increase the marketing and build a sales team if you need to, type of thing. So um, really great advice here. Would you add one more? Is there one more that you can think of that? Okay, if you had those two pieces, what would be maybe the last thing that you would suggest?
Yeah. this is what I found that was really interesting, insightful when I managed large sales teams is the greatest salesperson, they have two traits. And I see this a lot in entrepreneurs and very successful people as well. But something I came out with is when someone is confident in themselves. I'm not talking about arrogance because that I think, repels people. I feel like it's confidence in knowing who their maker is. Why are they here on this planet? And they're doing soulful work that gives them that fulfillment. They're going to be able to feel confident that they are who they are, and that is appealing for even a
Yeah.
mate, by the way, confidence. Then the second part is conviction of what they're selling and creating is going to help that person, because I think people have seen this as like they have a widget, they have a car, they have something that they're just not passionate about. I'll give you an example. Like I was invited to manage sales teams for like a women empowerment group, but there's a misalignment there because I'm not a woman and I can't live in that power. It's like, can I do that? Yes, but would I be like excited about? No. And
Oh
so
yeah.
it's like, you know what I mean? Like I think the most successful people are the ones that they know who their maker is, they live into that, and that they, have conviction with it. Because everybody sells everything, right? I have to convince my kids to eat vegetables and protein and stuff like that, right? It's like I'm selling them on the importance of that. Do they know the value? No, they just need to listen to me and
Yeah.
do that, and
Otherwise,
then
they'll
I'll
just have
go into
starches
it,
and
right?
sugars.
Right.
Like, come on. Yeah.
Right. Right. So I mean, we sell in everything, and so it's just like having conviction and confidence in who you are. And most of the time, people don't know who they are, and that's where I think the trouble comes with marriages and everything, is because of that. You wrote a book on the balance with that marriage thing, and I think there it stems a lot from the wound from a kid. They never figured those things out, and some really key things about their identity. And so I think we talk about reversing everything. I'm a big advocate of that. And then just being relentless. Life is hard. Just grin and bear it, and then just do as best you possibly can with some of that stuff, and try not to let those things eat you up. Like the challenges, you think about the challenges you had in junior high. It was like when someone didn't like you, or you got a bad grade, or you didn't get the cut in the team. It's like you thought the world was ending and you don't even know what those challenges are now. It's like you just got to let it wash over you and be relentless and just keep on pressing forward with, what God's placed in front of you. And then just find something you can be passionate about the rest of your life. Like, I love talking about God and
Yeah, man.
business and relationships. It's like I get excitement about this stuff. It doesn't. I can talk about that all day long, and it doesn't burn me out. So I think someone needs to find that niche, whatever that is, and be able to have
Well, we
enjoyment
kind
in
of
their life
begin
with
where
that.
we started, right? We talked a little bit about passion and reason and, and what, how God plays a big role in our lives. And so I appreciate those thoughts. And it reminds me of a quote I heard from Russell Brunson just yesterday again well, kind of, I summarize it. Okay. And that is, God put us on this planet for specific reasons. And if your reason is to help somebody with a certain product or service, and you're not bringing that message to the world, you're doing the world a disservice. You're not bringing that message. You're not bringing that light, whatever it is. We need it. We need help from each other. We do. It's just part of life. So I love what you're doing. I love how you're helping people. I can endorse you more. Um, if people want to get a hold of you, I know you're in the process of writing this book, which is awesome, so exciting. But in the meantime, where do they go to connect with you if they want to find out more about how you help people?
Yeah, I'll give everybody a free gift. There's a full checklist that I created of like how to build an online brand. If they message me on Instagram, you know, your name, I'll give it to them. Just a gift for all your listeners here. But Instagram is the best place. Nathan Newberry official is the
Okay,
handle, but I'm everywhere too. You could find me, but that'd probably be the best place that we can get
awesome.
you some
Check them out
resources
on
and help.
Instagram. Message him Travis Perry with an A. Grab that resource. I'm excited to see your book and when it launches and going pro. It sounds awesome. I mean, I'm
Thanks.
ready. Let's do this. And if you are as excited about this conversation as I am, follow Nathan and and support him and what he's doing, because I think we all can use a lot of what you're talking about today. If you haven't picked up my new book, Marry and Grow Rich, do it. Go to marryandgrowrichbook.com, and excited to share those knowledge and nuggets with you. Thank you for listening. And as always, we'll see you next time. And remember, live life on purpose together.